Welcome to part 4 of my statistics test 2 review. Question number 10. Suppose that you have just received a shipment of 20 modems. Although you do not know this, 3 of the modems are defective. To determine whether you accept the shipment, you randomly select 4 of these modems and test them. If all 4 of the modems work, you accept the shipment. Otherwise, the shipment is rejected. And we want the probability of accepting this shipment. So probability of accepting it. Okay. So among the 3 defective modems, we do not run any of them. So 3 choose 0. And we're going to multiply that by, there's this total of 20 modems. There are 17 that are not defective. And we want to choose 4 of those. So multiply those 2 and divide it by 20 total modems, and we are choosing 4 of those. 3 choose 0 just gives us 1. 17 choose 4 gives 2,380. And 20 choose 4 gives 4,845. So applying all this on the calculator, it gives us 0.4912. So the probability of accepting the shipment is 0.4912. The 11th question I have is, let's say I recently received a mail survey from my health insurance company. Below is a screenshot of 2 of the many questions that are asked in the survey, and as I asked there, how might these questions introduce bias, type of bias, what can be done to fix them? So we have here, and let me move this down for more room. We have here, in the last 6 months, how often did your health plan's customer service staff treat you with courtesy and respect? As you can see, as answer choices of never, sometimes, usually, and always. The second one, in the last 6 months, how often did the time that you waited to talk to your health plan's customer service staff take longer than you expected? And again, they have the answer choices never, sometimes, usually, and always. As you can see, both of these have that same format of never, sometimes, usually, and always, which, by the way, not necessarily the best technique for this. But these questions are written in the same format. Same format. Okay. So, because of this, you could just simply choose, for example, sometimes on both of those without really reading it. And for that matter, the first part of each question are written in the same exact way. So you can simply select the same answer without reading. Which is indeed an issue. This is response bias. Due to the way these are ordered and written out. How can it be changed? You could change the wording of the questions. Or the order of the answer choices. Or simply give different answer choices than what we're given. But changing it in some way that makes the reader actually be able to read it and understand what's being asked. Question number 12. I have, the Human Resource Department at a company wants to survey worker benefits. The department has an alphabetical list of all 3,000 employees at the company and wants to conduct a systematic sample of size 10. Suppose they want to conduct a systematic sample by randomly choosing to start with the 5th person and then counting by 300 people. We want to list out the 10 numbered employees who would be surveyed. We want the formula and the computed numbers. So the general gist of this are the numbers P plus K, P plus 2K, P plus 3K, P plus 4K, P plus 5K, P plus 6K, P plus 7K, P plus 8K, and P plus 9K. Okay, so putting in the numbers and whatnot, these numbers are 5 plus 300, 5 plus 2 times 300. Whoops, there's no plus there. The next one is 5 plus 3 times 300. 5 plus 4 times 300. 5 plus 5 times 300. 5 plus 6 times 300. 5 plus 7 times 300. 5 plus 8 times 300. And finally, 5 plus 9 times 300. So, typing all those into a calculator, the values you should get would be 5, 305, 305, 605, 1205, 1505, 1805, 2105, 2405, and then finally 2705. So the individual surveyed would be the numbered individuals, so numbers 5, 305, 605, 1205, 1505, 1805, 2105, 2405, and finally 2905. Let me know if you have any questions or concerns. Thank you.